Right tree, right place is a concept that's being adopted nationwide. In fact, right here in Guilford County, we have a program about right plant, right place. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, along with Greensboro Beautiful and the City of Greensboro's Urban Forester, have a program called the Neighborhoods Right Plant, Right Place. This program is designed to provide people with trees that can be planted in their neighborhood where trees have been lost due to, or removed due to vegetation management associated with clearing of the lines, trees that are lost due to disease and insects or storms, and then trees, locations that just simply need trees. Choosing the right plant for the right location is important for all landscaping considerations. And ignoring this guideline may lead to increased amounts of maintenance. It could also lead to the plants not thriving or ultimately to the death of the landscape plant that was installed. So careful planning and site evaluation are the very first things to apply in this concept. We know that not all trees and shrubs are going to respond to the same way to given locations. Each has certain requirements that have to be met. So the first thing is this site evaluation. What are the things we need to look at? So when it comes to site considerations, we want to look at the amount of sunlight, so what's the quantity and the quality of the sun, the duration of the sun that we get. How about moisture? Is it a wet spot or a dry spot? We want to look at the hardiness zone. We are zone 7 and we need to choose plants that are hardy for zone 7. We also need to take a look at the space available to us. How wide is it and how tall is it? As that needs to be matched, so we're not choosing plants too large for the site that's available to us. The soil type, we need to know if the soil is compacted, if it's got a very low pH or high pH, it's going to affect the plant that's going into that spot. We also need to look at competition from other plants that may be surrounding the spot we're planting into. And when it comes to our Neighborhoods Right Tree, Right Place program, we need to know what's above. We need to take into account the power lines that may be in that area or other obstructions that may be overhead. Matching now our site considerations with our aesthetic contributions that our plants make, let's look at what some of those might be. The first might be growth habit. You know, what's the shape of the plant? Is it pyramidal? Is it columnar? What is the growth rate on it? How quickly is it going to reach that mature height? What is the mature size of it? We always need to pay attention to what that mature size of that plant's going to be as we match it to the site that's available. Does it bloom? And if so, what season of bloom? What color of bloom? Look at the foliage color, the texture of the foliage. Look at, does it have any winter interest? Are there berries or nuts that are formed on the plant? Some of those can be detrimental to us. We don't necessarily want crab apples falling on our walkways. So all of the attributes that make this plant something you might desire in your landscape. You know, does it provide for wildlife? All of these things should be taken into consideration moving forward. And trees come in all different sizes and shapes. And we need to look at the amount of time it takes for them to reach that. And so when we look at the site considerations and our aesthetic considerations, we need to match them together. Some trees are going to get taller, some trees are going to get wider. What's the canopy cover on this tree going to max out at? What is the long-term, the longevity of that plant in a particular site? And so that at maturity is the real critical thing we're looking at. When it comes to trees, we have small, medium, and large trees. Small trees may be trees that get 25 feet in height, something like a native dogwood or the red buckeye, service berries. These are all good examples of small trees. Medium trees may be 25 to 45 feet in height. So we're looking at things like the river birch, the crepe myrtles, the flowering cherry trees. And large trees are those majestic old trees that get 100 feet plus. Things like our oaks, our maples, our beech trees. If you want a more complete list of small, medium, and large trees that are going to fit with the Neighborwoods Right Plant, Right Place program, you can go to Greensboro Beautiful's website. There we've got a listing of all the trees that fit into the 3 different categories. When it comes to the Neighborwoods Right Plant, Right Place program, this program actually starts after Duke Energy has come in and done their vegetation management in a particular neighborhood. What happens next is a public meeting is held, so people can come in, make comments, voice their opinion about what's happened in the neighborhood. After that, the comments are all taken and a planting plan is developed. This is then shared back with the neighborhood, and a date is set for a community tree planting program. Trees and shrubs are prized possessions in our community. Planning before we plant will help us avoid potential problems and potential hazards in the future. Landscapes and utility lines can coexist.